broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 39 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom, here with Trevor and Damon as usual. How you doing, fellas?
Good.
Hey, we're good.
Good. Awesome. We got a special guest here today as well. We've got Ziggy from ZiggyKnowsDisney.com. Ziggy, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Well, good to be back.
Yeah, Ziggy was on the show. For those of you listeners that have been listening to us for a long time, Ziggy was on, probably around this time last year, right? Would make sense.
I think so.
No disrespect to anyone else, but man, I like having Ziggy on the best. I'll be honest with you.
Is it because I talk about food, or what?
I that is something close to my heart. I will give you that. Yes.
That's true. Yeah. So we did bring Ziggy on today because he just got back from the Food and Wine Festival. And we wanted to, and the last time we had him on, he talked about food and wine, and we thought it would be fun to have him back again to talk about food and wine again, since we do love food on this show and we do love talking about food. So. So Ziggy, how was Food and Wine this year? Better than past years, you think? Or, I mean, how was it?
So this was only the second time that I've gone opening day. So it was a different experience because usually I go like a couple weeks into it when things are already rolling. It was pretty crazy the first day because all of the bloggers and podcasters and vloggers, or everybody was there, taking pictures and doing everything. So it was kind of really, really crazy. I thought in general there was a lot of really good offerings. There was a lot of good stuff. Even some of the old menus were like some of the old marketplaces where they haven't changed the menu in a while. Some of them changed completely, so I get like new offerings, and they were a little bit inventive. So that was really cool. Overall, I thought it was really good. The only thing that I would say though is that the prices haven't gone up. The price, for the most part, maybe like 25 cents here, or maybe at the most 50 cents, I noticed. But I noticed that a lot of the portion sizes are down. And so I was kind of disappointed in that, actually, because, I'm okay if you raise the price a little bit if I feel like I'm getting a lot for my money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But you know what the thing is? You know what that helps, Ziggy? Again, and I understand, right, when you start looking at the cost per price, but man, I seem to overdo it sometimes. And like this for me would at least allow me maybe to eat more different things.
Yeah, you can eat more, right? You can sample more.
I guess from a money standpoint, I get you, but knowing myself, I might not be too upset with that.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. It was just like, on some of the things, it was like last year, for example, I was thinking of in China, there's the garlic noodles, which is like one of my favorite dishes. Like every year at the Food and Wine, it's always there. But usually they give you 4 shrimp, and this time they only give you 2 shrimp. So I was like, what the heck? Or like the hummus, yeah, like the hummus fries in Morocco, they usually give you 4 of them. This year they gave you 3 of them. And so, I mean, I don't know. It just felt like a little sneaky to me, if you know what I mean, because it was like, yeah, we're not raising the prices, but we're not giving you the same amount of food as we usually do. But
now, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I'm finished. Go for it, man.
I was just gonna say, I wonder also. You said you were there opening day. Do you suppose there's actually a difference between going the first day and later on? Like, do you think that maybe they have some hiccups, or they don't necessarily give out the same amount that they do later on? So that's the
one. Yeah. So that's the strange thing, is that usually the first day is notorious for giving the biggest portions of any of the days, like because they know that all of the bloggers and all of the other people are coming there to take pictures of it, and so they're going to be getting a lot of media exposure. And so that was the thing that was strange to me, is that usually they give you the biggest amount of portions opening day, and then they go down from there. So I don't know. I went opening day, and then I went the day right after, and I haven't been back since. I'm going to be going again next week, so I don't know. I'll be able to see, if anything has changed since then. Like maybe some people were complaining about the portion sizes. Maybe they made them bigger or something. I don't know. But yeah, usually the first day is the biggest portions. So
did you try every single booth, or are you going back so you can finish the job and have the rest of them?
No, I tried everything. So I was with some friends, and so we went to every single booth in 2 days, and we tried everything that there was. So, except that not a few of the drinks we didn't try. I'll say that, like a few of the beers and a few of the champagnes and stuff. But it's mostly stuff that I've already tried before, so I didn't feel like I needed to try it. But all of the food items we tried, and I would say a good like 2/3 of the drinks. So yeah, we had a lot.
So what would you say was your favorite thing this year that wasn't there last year, or maybe your favorite thing this year was the same thing as last year, but I'm curious to know what your favorite food item was.
I would have to say my favorite overall marketplace is the Flavors of Fire, which was new last year, and they brought it back. I don't know if any of you guys got to try it last year or anything, but they focus like on smoked stuff. So they have a smoker in the back and a grill, and so they do the piggy wings, and they have a pancake with skirt steak on it and stuff like that. But they had a dish last year that I absolutely loved, which was my favorite thing, and it was again, I didn't find anything that could top it again this year, which was the smoked corned beef on like these warm crispy potatoes. Ooh. And so it's like, yeah, they were like handmade potato chips, basically, really warm, and it was just piled on top with this awesome really juicy smoked corned beef, and then on top of that was like, it was totally drenched in this creamy Parmesan sauce. So it was absolutely unbelievable, and that they give you a huge heaping portion of it too, and it's not that expensive. I think it was like $5 or $5.50 or something. You could easily split it with like 2 or 3 people. Wow. So yeah, as far as new stuff, I mean, if you want, I wrote down a few of the new items that I really liked. I can tell you what they were. So let's see. There's one marketplace called the Almond Orchard, and last year they had a risotto, which I hated. And this year they replaced it with this creamy spinach and artichoke dip, which was really, really good. It was very creamy, very gooey, full of cheese, and they give you these nice almond crisp crackers to dip into it, and that was definitely one of the best things. The beef brisket poutine at the refreshment port was amazing.
That sounds amazing.
Trevor, do you guys have poutine in that part of Canada?
Yeah, we do. So yeah, I'm assuming that they use proper cheese curds for it, or I hope they did.
Well, so they had like 3 different types of poutine. They had the beef brisket one didn't have the cheese curds in it, and it was a little different. It's not like real poutine because it didn't have gravy, but it was basically like beef brisket.
It was like a take on poutine. It was just like a
okay. They do have they do have like a traditional one with the cheese curds and the gravy, and this one was more like cheese sauce and beef brisket all pulled apart on top of it, but it was really, really good. Let's see, they also had I like in Italy this year I liked the fritto misto, which is like fried, like a basket of fried food. They had like some fried zucchini, fried sweet potato, and fried shrimp. The batter was really, really light and crispy. They gave you like 10 shrimp, I think, in it, so it was a really good portion. And they covered it with like a spicy chipotle sauce on top of it, which was really, really good.
You had me at fried basket, Ziggy.
Yeah,
just fried. We're good.
Just fried. Yeah, it's a fried. That sounds like something that would be in the American Pavilion. It's deep fried everything.
Yeah, you would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you
would. And it's actually really close because I think I know you guys know. I don't know if your listeners probably don't know that I spend a good part of my year in Italy because my wife is Italian, so I live like about 8 months out of the year in Italy, and the way that they fry the food here at the Italy marketplace is very close to what you find over there. It's like a very, very light. It's not breadcrumbs. It's more like flour. It's just basically flour, and I don't know what they use and what kind of oil they use, but it comes out very, very light tasting and not too heavy.
So it's very authentic then.
Yeah, it tasted pretty authentic to me.
That's cool.
For dessert, one of the absolute best ones was this maple bourbon cheesecake at the Cheese Studio. I'm looking at the picture right now, and I forgot how good this was. Yeah, it's like a very, very light cheesecake, very, very creamy. I mean, like when you put your fork in it, it just falls right apart. Basically, it's not like a heavy, dense cheesecake. And over the top of it is they have like a caramel bourbon sauce with maple. It's absolutely delicious. My best dessert that I tried at Food and Wine for sure. And I paired it with like this blackberry sparkling wine, which was the perfect match for it. So that was really good. Also, one thing that was new that we got a lot of debate on in our group, because we went and we tried a bunch of things and they kind of shared, like everybody got a bite of everything basically. One of the things was that in China, there's a pancake with beef, and so it's like, it looks like a tortilla shell basically, because it's a very, very thin pancake, and it's not a pancake like an American pancake, but more like a tortilla,
like a crepe.
And like a crepe. I would say a little bit thicker and a little bit chewier. Like, so it was stuffed like with this spicy beef and scallions and a little bit of vegetables in there. It was really, really good. The pancake part, half of the group didn't like it because they said it was too chewy. It was almost like it wasn't cooked enough or something. But half of our group really loved it, and I was part of the half that loved it. So and they give you a nice huge portion of it, and yeah, that was really good. And what else? The I don't know how to say it because I don't speak Spanish, but the ropa veja empanada, I think.
That sounded pretty right.
There you go.
No, I don't think any of us could disprove your pronunciation.
Ropa veja empanada. There you go.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, yeah. All right.
That sounded like you threw some Italian accent on that, though.
Yeah, that was. I can't help it. When I go for any kind of Latin-based language, it comes out Italian. So. But it was basically an empanada, and it was stuffed with this this beef mixture. It had like beef and some kind of vegetable, I think like tomato and everything on the center, and it was very, very juicy. And then they put like a tomato aioli on top of it, and that was really authentic. The shell itself was very light and crispy. So, and not expensive either. That was like $5, and again, like a really big portion. So I mean, you can get like some good sized portions there on things. Don't get me wrong. Like you can find some good stuff that's really tasty, and also you feel like you're getting your money's worth for it. It was just some of the old stuff that they've had, they seemed like they kind of reduced the size on to me. But
so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you were to give one pavilion or one marketplace or whatever they're calling them that you absolutely have to go to, and one that you should avoid, what would those be?
I would say, I'm going to say two of them. Sorry. I'm going to say the Flavors of Fire, which is the one I already mentioned before.
One.
Yeah, with the smoked corned beef, and they also have a drink there, which is the name is passing by my mind. I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, it's a bourbon drink with like an apple cider, and they put like an actual piece of pork on a stick like inside the drink, and it sounds really gross, but it's awesome. It's really good.
That sounds good.
So the Flavors of Fire, I thought everything was excellent. Actually, surprisingly, I thought that Ireland was really top notch.
Wow.
It was really good, and I wasn't expecting it. They had a roasted sausage dish, which the sausage was very juicy. It was like when I bite into sausage, I want it to snap, and I want it to feel like, really fresh, and this one was like that. And they also have a stout, cheddar cheese stout dip with they give you some not sourdough bread, the pumpernickel bread, and you can dip it into the cheddar cheese, similar to like the cheddar cheese soup in Canada, but a little bit different consistency and a little bit different taste, but equally as good. And they also have a chocolate pudding. The dessert is like a chocolate pudding cake. So it's like a chocolate cake with like a pudding center, which was phenomenal as well. So I would say Ireland. If I didn't go to Flavors of Fire, I would say go to Ireland.
Wow.
As far as what not to go to, I'm just gonna say Mexico, because not that I didn't like it. I liked the stuff there. It was good, but again, I just feel like they charge the highest prices because I feel like like Mexico seems like a safe international food. Like a lot of people like Mexican, so they're okay, I'll go to Mexico instead of trying maybe like some of the more exotic, tastes or whatever. And so for that reason, they charge you like everything is really expensive and the portions are tiny. And so, like I said, not that the food is bad. I mean, you can go there, but I mean, if I'm going to pay like $8 for just a little tiny quesadilla that you literally eat in one bite, I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like a great value. So
That makes sense.
I can't really recommend it. Not that not that the food was bad, but I just wasn't feeling it. And I wasn't really feeling India either. India, I like Indian food. Like I love Sanaa and I love some of the other places in Disney that serve Indian food, but I don't know. It wasn't very flavor. I just didn't have a lot of flavor in any of the food, and I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it either. So stay away from those two, I would say.
All right. Well, we got a stacked show today, Ziggy. So we don't want to we don't want to go too long. But anything else you want to mention about food and wine before we move on to other things? And I believe you're going to stick around with us and go through the rest of our nonsense, right?
Yeah, I'll be here. No, I mean that's pretty much it. Everything. There was a lot of awesome stuff. I just feel like you have to do your research ahead of time to find out like some of the things that you're going to be interested in, where you're going to be able to go, because it's so big. Like there's 35 different marketplaces, and so realistically, if you're wandering around, you can really only go to like 4 or 5 of them, unless you have like a big group of people that's going to be splitting everything with you. But until you get full, so I mean, look up ahead of time some of the good choices, things that you want to eat, and then that would be my strategy, and then hit those things and make sure that you get the best ones.
Now, you just talked about all that food. I'm assuming we can find pictures of all that on your website, right?
You absolutely can. I have, if you go to www.ziggyknowsdisney.com, I have reviews on all of the different marketplaces, and so you can see pictures of everything, my breakdown of what to get, what not to get, and I have the article about the best new things you have to try, and I'm going to be, over the next couple of days, I'll be writing a couple more articles just about some different tips and stuff to keep in mind when going. So keep checking back, and you'll find more stuff.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that update. That was great. Trevor and Damon, I don't know if you guys want to ask him anything before we move on, but I thought that was a good rundown.
I'm kind of full. I ate early today. I ate early today, so I'm kind of out of the food loop.
I was going to say, actually, I have dinner after this, so I'm going to be thinking about all this as I'm eating my dinner, which will be great, I'm sure.
I gave you some ideas of what to have. So.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we're having spaghetti, so nothing nearly as exciting as what you had.
I guess not.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I've never been to Food and Wine, and I've always wanted to go, and I realized that I'm scheduling my next vacation, my Disney vacation, for the first week of October next year, and I'm like, I'll finally get to go to Food and Wine.
That's perfect.
Yeah, so I'm so excited.
Yeah, you got to do it. I mean, it's something like any Disney fan has to go at least once to check it out.
I was
kind of
go ahead. Sorry.
No, kind of like every Disney fan needs to go to Disneyland, right, Damon? But.
No, I was thinking more like every Disney fan needs to ride Space Mountain. And that's where I was going.
Gosh,
well, that too. I agree with that as well.
Killing me today.
I'm gonna, here's the interesting thing. I think that as we looked for what trip we're going to do for when my son graduates high school, I think we're going to do Hawaii, and I think we'll end up stopping over at Disneyland at that point. So that's my guess at this point.
I can't wait for your Disneyland trip report. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for you.
Yeah, Trevor can help you out with guiding your way around Disneyland. So
yeah, that's true.
All right, well, so a couple weeks ago, thanks Ziggy for that. That was really great. A couple weeks ago, we had posted an article on our Facebook page, and I thought it was worth bringing up because, we always like to talk about DVC on the show. Obviously, we're a DVC podcast, and we always like to have a DVC topic. And one of the things that I saw was from our friends and our sponsors over at DVC Resale Market, and they write some really great articles sometimes if you're checking out some of the different things that they have on there. But one of the interesting things is they posted something the other day about the most economical DVC resale resort. And I was taking a look at this, and, I had kind of had an idea in my mind of what I wanted to get that when I bought resale next time. And this kind of completely changed my mind when I read it. And so if you want to check this out, we can post a link to it, but it's on their website. But what they're basing this on, what their methodology here is, they're looking at dues, how many years are left on the contract, and kind of what you can basically pay like to buy a contract there. And so based on all that, looking at their chart, the most economical resorts, and I'll just go in order really quickly here, are Saratoga Springs, Old Key West, Bay Lake Tower. Surprisingly, I was a little surprised by that one. I'm going to guess. I think part of that is the low dues, because the dues are much lower there, and the contract is pretty long compared to some of the other ones. Then we have in fourth, we have Polynesian, which Trevor, that's your home resort, and I know you're looking at some point maybe to buy some Polynesian points. Animal Kingdom, Grand Floridian, Alani, Grand California. And I'm not going to go through the whole list, but that's pretty much kind of the top couple on there. On the bottom, you have Vero Beach, Boardwalk, and Beach Club, and those are all those resorts like Old Key West, the original Old Key West contracts, Hilton Head, Boulder Ridge, Vero Beach, Boardwalk, Beach Club, all of those only have 24 years left on their contract. So I think that immediately kind of makes it difficult to call them a good value, right? So I don't know about you guys, but when I read this initially, I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll buy Copper Creek points. Maybe I'll buy something like Boardwalk. But now that I'm reading this, I'm like, maybe I want to buy Saratoga Springs. I don't know. This is kind of making me think a little bit differently about my next contract with DVC. So I was curious to see if you guys were thinking the same.
So I guess, for myself, I'm glad that Poly is, seen as a fairly good value, but honestly, it wouldn't have changed my opinion of whether or not I'm looking at Poly or somewhere else for points in the future, because I guess for myself, I'm not so concerned about which one is the best value and more about the place I want to stay, right? Because you know how they kind of say, buy where you want to stay. Yeah. So I'm like we've talked about in the past, I am on that extreme of, I'm planning my stuff 11 months out. So I would want to make sure that whatever resort I buy, I have the option to do the 11 months out. Saratoga and Old Key West, honestly, they don't, not bashing on them, they're just not the kind of resorts that I want to stay at necessarily. I feel like they're too far away, and I don't know how to describe it. They just don't appeal to me on that level, right? Yeah. Bay Lake Tower, though, I do find it interesting that Bay Lake Tower is there, and that's another one, having some points at Poly and Bay Lake Tower, that could be a nice thing to have. So
it is surprising to see two resorts that are on the monorail loop in the most economical resorts.
Yeah, and I guess I think the reason that they wrote this up is that a lot of people, they don't get past the initial dollar value, right? Because when you look at them, they look more expensive when you do your initial contract, but then when you think about how long is left on the contract and your dues, that's really where it gets you, right? Because you're paying those dues for years on end, so it does make sense.
And they break this down like total cost per point per year, and that's kind of how they come up with these rankings. And it's really interesting to look at it that way, because like you said, a lot of people look at the initial cost. They don't look at how many years are left on the contract. They don't look at all the different how much the dues are, because if you go on DVC Resale Market right now and you look, there's probably going to be a bunch of Vero Beach contracts out there, and they're cheap. And everybody's like, why are these Vero Beach contracts always so cheap? And it's because they have really high dues. There's not a ton of time left on the contract, so you can get those contracts cheap. But is it really worth it to do that? I don't know. So for me, I looked at this and I'm like, you know what? For me, what matters the most is the most economical option, whatever is going to be the best value. So in my mind, then I'm like, okay, well, that completely changes what I'm thinking. Maybe I will go with Saratoga because I can get, more points for the amount of money that I want to pay.
Yeah, and I think also the part that I think needs to be clarified is, they're talking about time left on the contract. For different people, I don't even know if that necessarily matters as much. So I think that does kind of skew the actual value there, right? Because some people have said they're into for 5-10 years and then they want to sell it off. So
that's what I look at Saratoga. There's 36 years left on that. I'm like, okay, I'll be in my 70s, so I'm not going to be fretting when that contract expires, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think really this kind of tool, I'm really glad that DVC Resale Market did this, but I think just the caveat is don't take this necessarily as gospel for what you should do.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, what matters the most is you buying where you want to buy. I don't think, you know, if for me, the thing that's most valuable is the most economical resort. For Trevor, you know, the thing that's most important is, you know, staying where you want to stay, right? So I think it really comes down to what means the most to you. Is it, you know, finding a cheaper contract, or is it finding one that you know, at a place that you want to be? So, because I mean, I own a Bay Lake, but I've stayed at Bay Lake a total of one time. So, you know, and like I don't dislike Bay Lake, but if I had to do it all over again, would I buy at Bay Lake? I don't know. So that's you know, because it's not it's great. Don't get me wrong, but there's some other places that I probably would look at too.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I think I think this is definitely good reading for anybody that's listening. Just make sure you're not just looking at this, right? Like Tom said, think about everything about how you want to do your vacation before you decide on which resort you want to buy.
Exactly. And I don't know, Damon or Ziggy, if you guys have any thoughts on this, if you guys had any thoughts on this changing your methodology.
I own Saratoga, so it doesn't change anything for what I would do.
Well, but you may want to buy another contract in the future, right?
Yeah, but I would buy at Saratoga. Like,
you
so
just keep buying Saratoga, right?
That's easy.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, again, what did you say? How many years are left?
36.
Okay, so I'm 45. 81, I'm going to either have a ton of money and need to spend it, so I have to give it to all my kids, or I'm going to be too old and not care because I have no money. So I don't. Yeah, I'm going to continue at Saratoga.
That sounds good. I mean, it makes sense to me. I do. I find these kinds of things interesting when you're looking at, you know, because there's so many factors to keep in mind, and you know, it's hard to do the math on your own. So they're doing the work for you. So anybody else want to mention anything about this before we move on to the next thing? So, actually, you know, we talked about DVC Resale Market. They are the sponsor of this podcast episode and our podcast, and we really appreciate them. And so we'll just, you know, do a little moment here for DVC Resale Market. DVC Resale Market is the leader in the DVC resale industry with 11 former DVC guides and 2 former Disney Vacation Club quality assurance managers. So they've got a lot of experience over there. They know what they're doing. If you're thinking of buying DVC, browse the largest selection of DVC resale listings anywhere, with DVC experts on hand 7 days a week to answer your questions. So they always have somebody there to answer any question that you might have, whether it's via chat or giving them a call. If you're thinking of selling, you know, so if unfortunately you have to sell your DVC contract, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 98% of listings sell within 30 days, and over 2,400 contracts were sold in 2017 alone. So DVC Resale Market is by far the best resale company out there. They're going to help you out. They sell, like I said, if you need to sell your contract, they sell over 98% of their listings within 30 days, and they are the ones that sell the most contracts out there. So if you're interested, go to dvcresalemarket.com or call 1-844-DVC-PROS, which is 1-844-382-7767. Let them know that we sent you. Let them know Welcome Home sent you to talk to them or to sell your contract or to buy your contract. They like to hear that Welcome Home sent you. So make sure to tell them that. And again, before we go here, that's dvcresalemarket.com or 1-844-DVC-PROS. So thanks again to DVC Resale Market. We appreciate having them on the show as a sponsor. So check them out. I go on that website all the time. I don't know about you guys, but I'm stalking contracts constantly.
Yeah, me too.
I'm always I'll like pull one up and I'll look at my wife and I'll be like, Saratoga Springs, $99 a point.
They know I need 50 points. They got to come find me now.
They got to come find you. I've actually got their app and they shoot you like I put in there I want 100 points at Saratoga, and they shoot me alerts every time they get like 100 points at Saratoga, and they'll show me the price and everything like that. So you can also download their app too if you want to check that out and get those alerts if you're looking for a certain contract. So, all right. So we've talked a lot in the show about the minivans, and did you guys both take one on your last trip, or was it just you, Trevor or Damon? I forget which one you guys did.
I've taken one.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Yeah, I've taken one too, and I liked it.
Tom, don't forget about Ziggy. Come on.
I'm sorry, Ziggy. I apologize.
Come on, Tom.
Leaving you out of the podcast. Sorry. There was a report out there a week or so ago that they were going to be changing the pricing. They were going to drop the flat rate. So before it was $25 anywhere on property. Didn't matter where it was $25. Well, now they're going to a per mile charge. And so initially when I heard this, I was like, oh, cool. This is probably going to make it cheaper. But now that we're seeing the prices, it kind of looks like it's not going to make it cheaper. So
yeah, that makes me sad.
It makes me sad too. So according to WDW News today, the new price grade is going to be base trip at $15. So they're still going to have a flat charge of $15, and then an additional charge per mile of $2.75 per mile. So this is going to probably bring the average trip to well over the $25 rate that was there before. And if you're, it also makes a point in this article that if you're going from Animal Kingdom to the Contemporary or, I guess Magic Kingdom, you're talking like $40. So that's kind of a bummer in my mind. I hadn't used them yet, but I was looking forward to it. But I was kind of hoping
people abuse the system. We all know that's where this come from, right? Because you have to do something when people are making them drive all over the place, or you know what I mean. I think that was the dilemma without having a per mile charge.
People were making that. I saw somebody that said they'll even take you to the drive-thru at McDonald's. And it's like, wait a second, like that seems like it's not the purpose of that.
Well, isn't that on property though?
It is on property. That's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's really no different than going anywhere else. But yeah, I see your point, Damon. It sucks that people abused it. And I mean, I liked it because, yeah, going from the Polynesian to, I actually used it going both to Animal Kingdom and to Hollywood Studios because those are the furthest trips for taking the bus. And so to avoid, waiting for the bus and everything, it made sense to use, Uber or a Lyft or a minivan. And so, yeah, we tried the minivan for that. And so the fact that same trip now would cost me even more when I was already looking at the $25 and going, I don't know, like it, yeah, that kind of, it makes the service non-competitive, really, because you do have, Lyft, like proper Lyft, because that's the funny thing is that this is part of the Lyft app. And when you're, getting your car, you can either ask for a minivan or you can ask for a regular Lyft car. But when you know that the Lyft car is going to be like $20 cheaper, it doesn't make sense, right? Like I just don't understand why they think this is a good idea.
More money.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's supply and demand. So they have a certain amount of minivans and they know that they're going to continue to get people to use them, even if they raise the price like this. I mean, before I liked using the minivan, especially to go either to the Magic Kingdom because they drop you off right at the bus stop area, which was great because then you didn't have to go from the ticket and transportation centers. That was one of my favorite places. Also to Pioneer Hall, if you're gonna go to the Hoop-Dee-Doo review, I thought it was also an excellent place. I ran some numbers myself. Like I looked if you were staying at the Animal Kingdom Lodge and then going from there all the way up to to Magic Kingdom. So I think it's like a 10.5 mile ride, and so I did the math, and it comes out to be like $44. So obviously, before you're gonna get a good value for it before, but now I mean it's almost double the price. Or if you were gonna, but I mean if you're taking a short trip, I don't know if you're going from the Beach Club over to Disney Springs, I think it comes out to a little bit less than 25. I think like 23 or $24. So in that case, it might be worth it or something. If you're trying to get to dinner quick, you have to make a reservation or something. But in general, yeah, it's going to be much more expensive unless you're taking very short trips.
Well, I guess we were planning to go from the Poly to Pioneer Hall, actually. Like you said, Ziggy, we are going to go to Hoop-Dee-Doo, and I figured I would use this for that. So, yeah. I
that
guess,
might be worth it because it's not far.
That's not that far, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, I don't think we'll be using it for – we'll just have to get on the bus for other things or just get a regular lift.
Well, here's my question from you guys that have used this, because the three of you have used this and I have not. Is there enough of a difference in the service level between the minivans and like a regular Lyft or Uber for it to be worth the extra money? I guess that's where my question is.
That's a personal question. For me, yes.
Yeah, well, no, it is, but that's why I want to know your opinion.
Because I know what I'm getting. If I'm going, listen, just like I wouldn't eat at McDonald's. Like if I'm going to Disney, I'm going to Disney. When I'm going to Disney, I want Disney people. And I understand McDonald's is on, you know what I'm saying though. Like I want the Disney experience from start to finish, and that includes if I'm taking rides as well. Because really, at the end of the day, when you have kids and stuff, listen, those are great services, but I really don't know what I'm getting. I kind of know more of what I'm getting when I do it through them.
And yeah, I do kind of agree with you on that, Damon, because we used a standard Lyft and we used the minivan on our last trip, and not to knock the guys that run Lyft cars, but there was a definite difference in, personality and just the general experience of it versus, like you said, it being front to back Disney. Like, yeah, getting in a minivan, knowing that it's a Disney cast member, they're a lot more personable, and I think that kind of goes further to keeping you inside of the Disney bubble, right? It does matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would agree with you guys. I mean, you can definitely see a difference between a regular Lyft or Uber ride and a ride in a minivan. When the experiences that I've had, the drivers have been super friendly. They've been really knowledgeable. You can ask them anything you want to know about Disney or their previous works. A lot of them have worked all over the parks and everything, so they can tell you a lot about it. I guess it just comes down to how much you want to stay in that Disney bubble, how important that is to you. Guests like Damon are going to, there are a lot of guests like that, and so they're going to want, no matter what, just stay inside that little bubble. Some other guests are maybe more budget conscious or whatever, or they need to stay on a budget, and so they're going to have to look and see, okay, is it a long distance, how much is it going to be, and maybe see if it gives them value. But it's kind of a personal thing. I mean, it depends on you. So
all right, yeah, no, I think that's a good point, and I mean, I'll probably still do it just once, just to try it, because I think it would be useful. Because there was a time that we took an Uber, I think it was our last trip, because we were doing an early morning tour at Animal Kingdom, and we had to be there by like 7, and we just didn't want to rely on the buses for that, so we took just a regular Uber, which was fine. But I mean, I probably would have taken minivan if those would have been in existence at that point when I went. So yeah, I think this is an interesting change. Like you said, Ziggy, it's supply and demand, right? Obviously, they found this to be a successful program, and they know they could probably charge a little bit more for it, and people will still pay it because Disney figures all these things out. They're very good at figuring out what pricing customers will pay before they stop, doing something. Or sometimes they raise prices specifically to make people do it less. So,
yeah, I mean, they have people, they have the service going to the airport, also to the Orlando International Airport. And I think it's $150 each way, and they have a lot of demand for that too. So I mean, $150, that's $300. So obviously, people that want to have that kind of service, dropping $30 or $40 on a minivan ride to them isn't going to be anything.
Isn't going to be anything. Yeah, exactly. All right. Anything else you guys want to mention about this before we move on? All right. Exciting news. This is exciting news, I think.
This is my favorite.
Trevor, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I absolutely do.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago, or a couple episodes ago, I think.
Yeah, so we have it. It is confirmed that the Wreck-It Ralph VR experience is coming to the Void in Disney Springs and in Disneyland Resort in downtown Disney. So let's see here. So debuting this fall, the first new experience will be based on upcoming Disney animated movie Ralph Breaks the Internet, and will be available at both resorts. Sorry, what did they say here? Ralph Breaks VR will put you inside a new multi-sensory Disney adventure where you'll be immersed in the worlds of the internet and online gaming with Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope. Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, this is going to be really cool.
Yeah, so I am definitely planning to do this when we go in January. So I'll be booking this. Also, they've said alongside of this, sometime in 2019, there will be a Marvel-based hyper reality experience coming to the Void as well. So you'll have Star Wars, you'll have Marvel, and Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Or is Star Wars getting pushed out?
That's a good question, actually. I guess that I don't remember if there was 2 or 3 spaces.
I had heard from Disney that they were not going to get rid of the Star Wars one, and they're actually developing more Star Wars experiences for the Void too. So I don't think that's going away.
Oh, great! So they're going to have 3 different experiences at the Void there. That's cool.
Yep.
I just expected them to end Star Wars and replace it with this Marvel one that they're talking about. My interest is, though, what Marvel experience do you want to see? Like, I mean, what are they going to do? I'm really curious to see how that's going to be. Like, do you get to pick what your favorite Avenger is, and you get to be that Avenger? Also, how in the world are they getting around the Universal contract with this too? But that's another question.
Well, again, I think it depends on which characters they're using, right? So, I guess as long as Spider-Man doesn't show up in there, it's probably okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't quote me on this, but from what I understand about the Marvel contract is that they can't have the characters in the parks themselves. So like sometimes you'll see the characters on the monorails, like where they have them on the sides of the monorails. But those monorails can do like the Magic Kingdom loop because the monorail doesn't actually go inside the Magic Kingdom, but they can't go into the Epcot. So I don't know if like how this, since it's Disney Springs is not really a park, I don't know maybe if they can get away with that.
Interesting.
Which is possible.
Technicalities, I love it.
Oh, I feel like Disney's been pushing this contract. Like, what I mean by that is they've been like trying to do certain things just to see if Universal's going to sue them. You know what I mean? Like, where they do certain meet and greets, and it's like, because I remember I think they did a Doctor Strange meet and greet in the parks, and it was like I felt like they were testing them just to see what the response was going to be. You know. So.
And now that you mention that, I'm thinking about this Marvel thing, and if you got to pick Doctor Strange, I feel like you'd have a bunch of people curled up on the floor nauseous. If it was like the movie.
Yeah, where it's like super psychedelic and like I don't know. I think it would be cool if you could like pick what Avenger you wanted to be and like do stuff like that. I mean, obviously it'd be hard to be Iron Man because you're not going to be able to like fly around or anything like that. But
what do you guys think of the Star Wars version of the Void? I mean, have you guys done that yet?
Yes, and I loved it. I did it, and then we went and had lunch, then we went back and did it again. So
yeah, I thought it was really good too. I enjoyed it. I would say that the Star Wars one limited the amount of people. I think that the price point and the IP, it's a huge IP, I get it, right? But it definitely limited people. Like my daughter had no interest, my wife had no interest. I think the flip side for Wreck-It Ralph is going to be that the boys have no interest. So I think that's why the more IPs they can bring to the Void, I think that they'll end up finding that sweet spot where you can agree on something as a family to do it, well, in groups of 4, let's say, rather than where there's certain ones that well, I just don't want to do that. So I think that's kind of the impetus to kind of broaden that IP as well. Plus, again, like, I mean, you did the Star Wars one twice, Trevor, right? But would you really do it again? Like, I mean, I would want to do it again, but for the price, I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, we were discussing it, and if Wreck-It Ralph wasn't coming, this was like, I have a hard time justifying doing it. Yeah, twice was good, but yeah, a third time, I don't know, right? And I guess that's the thing is that, yeah, if like you said, Tom, if they're bringing new Star Wars experiences to it, I mean, that makes sense, right? They keep that IP going, but they do have to keep it, either the experience changes every time you do it, or it has to be a new experience because, yeah, it's a fantastic way to get engaged in these IPs, but they do have to keep updating it for sure.
I think that's really cool. I haven't experienced it yet myself. I'm actually going to be going next week. We're going to do it, but I think it's awesome, the idea that you can literally just plug and play all these different IPs or versions of those same IPs. If they keep developing new stories and new experiences for them, there's really an unlimited amount of possibilities. I mean, you can go back time and time after, again and not have it get old. So I'm looking forward. I heard that also when the Fox deal goes through and they have the Aliens IP, that they were thinking of developing like a really scary version of it with aliens. Can you imagine how that would be?
Wait, that's basically like Alien Encounter, but with VR. Like, that sounds amazing.
Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, you did kind of say that in our last mini episode.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be A, terrifying, and B, really cool.
If it's framed properly, yes, it's absolutely amazing, and they should do that.
I feel like I would be. I feel like I would be the Bill Paxton character if I were doing that in real life. Like in the movie, where it's like game over, man. It's like I'd be like crying in the corner. I think
you're the fodder.
Yeah, I'd be hiding in a corner. Like, you know, if those things are popping out everywhere, I'm out. Yeah, but. That would be really cool, Ziggy. I hadn't heard that. I think that would be amazing if they did that. But I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like they can keep coming up with, you know, hundreds of. I mean, yeah, really possibilities are limitless.
Yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit with this, right? So
did you guys see the patent that they were making about the floor technology? Because
I did see that.
I guess one of the problems with a VR experience is that you're not going to get really 100% immersed into the experience when the floor is just the same. Like if you were on an icy, let's say you were in Star Wars on Hoth or something, like the ground should be icy. Or let's say you were going up a steep incline. How do you simulate that? And I saw that there was a patent where they're coming up with like different floor technology to be able to change the floor depending on the world that you're in, which would make it even more immersive.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
I saw that they've recently filed a couple patents, and that all seemingly having to do with VR, and that was one of them, where it was like the floor could kind of change based on the, like you said, based on the terrain, but it couldn't do it like on demand. It wasn't something where they had to like change the floor out. It was something where it could just constantly be changing under your feet, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. And something with like, I think they had magnets or something under the floor that would also give a sensation of like slipping like on the ice or something like that. Yeah.
So that would mean you'd probably have to wear special shoes of some sort then.
I would think so.
Yeah,
alongside.
But I mean, they already give you what the headset, and you have a vest on too, or something?
It's a headset and a vest that you start with. So
it's basically laser tag with visors on, right? With a visor on, right?
No,
but heavier.
It's better than laser tag.
Well, no, I just mean like suit, like what you're wearing, wise,
yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, it is heavier. Yeah, it's definitely a lot heavier than just a laser tag vest.
Well, let me ask you this though too. So, because I haven't gotten to do the Star Wars one, but you guys, you know, the two of you have. Is it something where, you know, there's a specific mission that you can deviate from and it's a different experience every time you go? Like, Trevor, the 2 times you went, was it different each time, or was it the same both times?
The overall mission plays out the same, but there was a few incidental things that the first time we didn't really know what was going on, so it kind of resulted in some almost comical things happening, and the dialogue, like there was different, we heard different dialogue and stuff as we were going, and then the second time, because we knew things were happening a lot more smoothly. So, yeah, I don't want to spoil it too much because I know Ziggy's going to do it, but yeah, the overall outcome doesn't change, but yeah, you're not completely locked into doing things exactly the way they want you to. So, if that makes sense.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I'm psyched about this. This is something I would want to do on my next trip. Although it seems like they don't keep these things for long now, right? So it's kind of like you got to do them while they're there.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about the Void is that it sounds like they kind of want to make this into, at least in the interim, it's going to be a thing that's there in Disney Springs. So yeah, hopefully, next October it'll be there for you still, Tom. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't be if they're already looking at expanding it at this point. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting to me, though, because if Star Wars was there and Wreck-It Ralph was there, I'd kind of want to do both. Like, you know, yeah. I wouldn't want to do just one of them. I'd want to do both of them.
Well, I'm going to do both, and I'll let you know if you should do both.
Nice. So, just my question to you guys: what would you want a Marvel one to look like? Like, what would you want that experience to be? This is an open-ended question.
It's going to be interesting. What I would like is to have multiple characters, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, if I'm Iceman or I'm Hawkeye or like, who am I? I mean, I know there's got to be a limit, right? Because we're talking about, still some finite programming that's going on. But give me a choice, right? Like, I don't think that should be a big deal. That's what I'd be looking for, is having a choice of picking the character I want to be. Or, gosh, I mean, if you're really kind of making it open-ended, let me pick what powers I want, right? I don't have to be anybody.
I like it.
Just let me pick what powers I want, and, there's maybe a list of 20, and you get 2 or whatever the case may be. You want to talk about replayability. I mean, all you're talking about is the graphic shooting out of your hands is different, honestly.
True.
So that would be kind of neat.
So like a make-your-own superhero or something.
I could get on board with that, and then you don't worry so much about what characters you're putting into play, right? I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I feel... if you're talking specific scenarios, I feel like Infinity War is hot and heavy right now, so that to me seems like an easy one. You get a whole bunch of different characters in there. You don't necessarily have to be one of the superheroes, because there is a lot of other
non-super people.
Yeah, I don't even know.
And like
Shield agents and stuff like that. Right?
I don't want to be a Shield agent.
Well, but for the sake of you're going alongside of these heroes, I feel like that would make more sense as if they made you as the character.
Real boring.
Yeah, I know, but
I'm going to be a superhero.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far into it, because I can see who. Or I don't want to spoil what I know from the current one. So
yeah, true.
Yeah,
can I be Thanos? What if you want to be the bad guy? I want to be the bad guy
with the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, let's just break the whole thing.
But Trevor, without let's be honest, without ruining anything. I mean, you understand that you're a stormtrooper. I mean, that's everyone knows that part of it. I mean, all you're doing is swapping out a stormtrooper with a gun for a Marvel character shooting something out of their hands.
Right.
I don't see that as leading to any issues per se.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is that they would need something there for how to deal with which character you pick, right? Because if you're following a story, it does have to make sense with whatever character you are.
But why? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean it has to make sense? Like, so all right, so I'll give you an example. Iceman or Human Torch, does it really matter?
If somebody's speaking to you in the experience, yeah.
Yeah, but remember, you've already selected what character you were at the beginning. So when we're talking about audio dubbing, I mean, we're past that, right? Technology wise, aren't we?
I'm just thinking about audio and like branching paths and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I see what you mean. Like if you decide you want to be like Iron Man, like, maybe there's specific things that Iron Man would have to do in the story, where the story might have to change based on that. Is that what you mean?
I think I don't, like I said, I mean, I've been to the other one. I don't see that as a problem personally, but I don't know.
Ziggy, maybe you can jump in on this. I think there was a patent that they filed fairly recently that was for like a VR, like a Captain America shield, where you'd be able to like throw it in a VR environment or something like that. I swear I remember reading a patent about this.
You're talking about like holodeck? We on Star Trek Next Generation holodeck right now?
There was some patent they had where you could do something with Captain America's shield, and I don't know if that has anything to do with this, but I remember this, but I don't remember the exact details of it.
Yeah, I really vaguely remember it too, Tom. I don't remember what the details are, but yeah, you are right. There was some kind of article about it.
I wonder if that has anything to do with this too, but I don't know. I think the sky's the limit for this, right?
Pretty much,
yeah.
Or the universe. I mean,
there you go, Trevor. The universe is the limit. So, I think it'd be. See, but you're saying you're stormtroopers in the Star Wars thing. Why can't I be Thanos then? You're the bad guys in the Star Wars thing. I want to be the bad guy in the Marvel thing.
Are we really an hour in and halfway through this? Gosh, Tom.
What do you mean?
Stop talking. We're done with VR.
All right. Well, we're on rumors. We're at the end of this thing.
Oh yeah, just as you guys are talking, I just looked it up, and you're right. There is a patent for a Captain America shield that basically you put it on your arm, and then you like fling your arm in a motion like you're throwing it, and it comes off like so it would come out onto the screen or something.
So it's some sort of physical shield that you would throw, and it
you don't actually throw it. It's probably going to be just attached to your arm, and you move your arm like you're throwing it or something. Is what I understand.
So you don't hit your friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine the waivers if you could really throw the shield.
Yeah, right.
So okay. So moving on, we talked VR enough. So we're on to rumors, and there's a couple different rumors that are out right now, and these are all according to WDWNT. So you can check them out on there because we want to make sure we give credit for these rumors, since they are rumors. Mostly if they're wrong, so we can blame them and say it was their fault that we didn't come up with these. But the Move It, Shake It, Dance It, and Play It parade is apparently going to be ending on 12/1. I have not really caught this parade all that often. I feel like sometimes I've been midday hanging out at like one of the restaurants on Main Street and just seen it go by. So the thought, though, is that this parade is going to be ending on 12/1. It's going to be replaced with a new parade in early 2019. I don't know if any of you guys are attached to this one, but I really don't care that much about this going away. I think new things are good. So
yep. I've never been around Main Street when this parade has happened either, so it's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if kids are into it or what, but
yeah, I'm not like a huge parade guy anyway. Usually by that time in the afternoon, I'm like ready to go back and sleep for a little while or whatever because it's too hot. Exactly. I have been there a couple of times when when it's going on, and it's fun, it's cool, but I'm not super broken up about it. And if they develop something, I think this is already the third or fourth version of the parade. So I don't know if they're developing just something very similar, just changing a couple of things, or if it's going to be something completely different. But I'm not broken up about it either.
I wish they would bring back a nighttime parade. Like, when are we going to get a nighttime parade back? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I hear you there.
I was going to say, it's no paint the night. I mean, I sat down and waited for Paint the Night, and it was absolutely worth it. They need something like that here. So hopefully whatever is coming of this is, maybe they're... I feel like with all the construction that's been going on at Disney, they've kind of been holding off on bringing new parades, while Toy Story Land and Star Wars Land and all that stuff is coming up. I'm hoping that because those are kind of coming to the end, we are going to see some newer style parades again, like Paint the Night, like just something more upgraded. Cool new effects and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Something new, and I mean, I feel like it would make sense that they do something, that they come out with a new parade before the anniversary of the park, right? Like I could see them debuting a new nighttime parade for the anniversary or like the year before as they celebrate for the entire year, right? That's what I could see them doing. But we'll have to see. I don't care that much about this parade. I'm sure there's a lot of parents out there though that have young kids that really love this thing, because I know it was very engaging, and there was, it was having like kids dance around and stuff like that. I think that was a big part of it. So maybe just because I don't have a kid that's older than 5 months old, that I'm not sad about this, but maybe
even my son was never really like we've the couple of times we've seen daytime parades, he was not interested at all. So
even like Festival of Fantasy, like the
wow. He like we saw it, and we're like, do you want to go watch the parade? And he was like, no. So okay. Again, varies by family, I think, as to whether or not this is important.
This is important to them or not. Yeah.
So
another thing that's out there, another rumor that's out there is, and this has been a rumor for a while, Epcot's going through, it really in the midst of a reimagining. And we heard a lot about it at D23 last year when we did our D23 show. But we haven't heard a lot about it since then. And, you know, we know of a couple things that are coming. Obviously, the Ratatouille ride, the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. We talked last week about a rumor about the Spaceship Earth getting refurbished and, you know, getting some, you know, spruced up a bit. We know about the space-themed restaurant. One of the rumors that's been out there is that they were going to build a Mary Poppins dark ride. Now, apparently those plans have maybe been put on hold or maybe just completely abandoned in favor of a Mary Poppins flat ride. And those who are not familiar with the ride parlance of a flat ride. In this particular case, it's something similar to Dumbo or what is it, Triceratops spin thing at Animal Kingdom? Is that what it's called? Or the flying carpets?
Yeah, it's just a generic spinning ride like you would find at most what are they called?
Fairs,
carnivals. Yeah, fairs, carnivals, whatever.
Anything. Yeah. I read this and was kind of bummed.
Yeah.
Kind of bummed.
I think it's a terrible idea.
It really is.
I think it's a terrible idea. Because, I mean, like what you said, is when I think of a spinner ride, I mean, okay, Dumbo's great and stuff, but I mean, I think of more like a carnival, just like a basic carnival. I don't want Epcot turned into a carnival scene. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be, how high it's going to be or whatever, but a dark ride would be like 10 times better. I don't know who. I guess it's because they want young kids to be interested in Epcot, and so they have to have some attractions that young kids are going to go on. But they can go on a dark ride too, in my opinion. So
my kid likes Figment.
It would be
so.
Well,
exactly.
I think I'm more annoyed by it because I feel like it's really lazy, and I don't understand why Disney's doing something that lazy. I mean, maybe the budget just got dropped because obviously a full-fledged dark ride is going to cost a lot more than throwing a spinning ride in there just randomly, you know. But I don't know.
And I guess I think the space too, because the pavilion in the back there that they use for different events was I forget the name of it. The one they use
World
for like the Party of the
Showplace?
Senses.
Is that it?
Yeah, exactly. So I guess they're not going to get rid of that because it's so profitable. So that would have probably eaten up the space. If they could get rid of that, maybe a dark ride. So I'm sure they're probably limited to, you know, on the space.
Yeah, and I guess the thought is that however they theme this, they're kind of thinking of the merry-go-round in the Jolly Holiday scene, which, okay, you know, put in a merry-go-round, don't make it like, I don't know. It just, when I read this article, it just, nothing about it seems right to me, especially for something like Mary Poppins. It just doesn't seem right.
I mean, it makes sense to me that they're doing it, that they're going to put a ride back there, but it just doesn't make sense that they're doing a flat ride, other than the fact that they probably, just like their budget probably went from like $100 million for it to like $1 million. You know, like they probably just had a completely cut budget and now have to, you know, just do something there. But I don't know.
Hopefully we're wrong, because this is a rumor. So
It is a rumor.
Yeah.
I've also seen, and Ziggy, you can weigh on this too, because I think I saw on your website, and you know, we're moving on from this discussion really quick, just because I was seeing something else about the gondolas. There seems to be a lot of, I don't know, misconceptions, confusion, conflicting reports about what these gondolas are going to look like, whether they're going to have air conditioning or not. I feel like that's the big thing, is a lot of people are like, are these going to have air conditioning? Because, you know, it's Florida and it's in the summer and it's hot. But I think I read an article on your site that said it was going to have air conditioning, and then I saw another article that said, no, they're not going to have air conditioning. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that anybody really knows, because it seems like from both sides that people are saying that it's going to, and then it's not going to, and they both seem like, you know, legit sources or whatever. And so it's, at this point, it's a little hard to understand what's going on. Personally, I think that it's suicide to not have some kind of air conditioning in these, you know, gondolas in Central Florida, where
small, you know, metal
it's
bucket.
90. Yeah. The lightning is a whole nother story too. I don't know how they're going to deal with that, but you know, I mean, just it's going to be so hot in there. So unless they said there's going to be some kind of new ventilation system that they are going to be able to put in there, and okay, but I'm not too convinced that that's going to work. I mean, how are they going to do that when it's like above 90 degrees like 6 months out of the year? And it just seems to be ridiculous to me that they should have some kind of air conditioning. But again, probably cost is one thing, and then the space inside those, having to get enough power to each car to do that must be an issue too. So there must be a good reason. If they're not going to have air conditioning, there must be a good reason behind it.
Yeah, and I would hope that however they set this up, I mean, I don't think they would set something up that's going to be uncomfortable for guests to be on. But
yeah.
It's go ahead, Ziggy. I'm sorry.
No, they must have, like, they're obviously going to have people testing it out, and they have an idea in their heads at least that theoretically there's going to be enough ventilation in here where people aren't dying, inside those things. But I'm really curious to find out what that is if there's no air conditioning involved.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still excited about it. I'm just curious to see what's going to be going on. So,
and with that, we're completely off topic again.
Well, you know what? It's we're like kind of ahead of time today. We're kind of like below our normal time today. So I feel like we can throw some extra topics in here.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I guess. I mean, is there anything else you guys want to talk? Well, we have one more thing, I guess.
Yeah, let's. So the Ratatouille ride, right? That's getting an opening date supposedly of. The rumor is the ride will open May 2020.
Yeah, sooner than because they said it was going to open before 2021. So that's great. It seems like they're making great progress on it. Based on what I've seen, it seems like it's going to. I don't know if it's going to be an exact clone of what is in Paris, but it seems like it's going to be pretty similar. I don't know, Ziggy. You've been to Paris. I think you were posting stuff from Paris recently. Have you been on that ride?
Yeah, I did. I just went there in June actually for the first time.
How was that ride? Was it great, or is it,
Yeah, it was really awesome. When we went, I think there were a few effects that actually weren't working. But I didn't know what they were. Somebody told me that there was a few effects that weren't working. So my experience with it, since it was the only time I went on it, I had a blast. It's really cool because they basically send you through like you're a rat in the kitchen, and so you're underneath all the tables and the counters, and people are chasing you, and then you're going through the wall like in these little holes and then coming out other areas, and it's awesome because the ride vehicle is trackless, so you don't know where you're going to be going in the room. Like you go from room to room, but you're kind of surprised because it's turning in different directions and as all this action. They use a lot of screen technology, so there's screens everywhere in the room, and you're just getting turned to the right screen at the right time and stuff. But I thought it was a really, really fun attraction. Like I had a smile on my face, I would say, the whole time through it. So it was really fun. That's
awesome. Yeah, I've watched videos of it online. I think it's going to be pretty fun. But it'd be cool if it does open a little bit earlier. Although I'm going to be there late 2019, so I wish it was going to be open by then. But obviously it won't be. So that was a little bit ambitious anyway. Sorry.
So did we ever find out when Mickey's Runaway Railroad is opening as well?
I think they said I think it's supposed to be like summer next year, right?
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yeah, I think I think they were hoping May next year for that, but I think it's a little bit behind, and so maybe June is what I was hearing, June or July possibly.
Oh, okay. That's good. I'll be there in October, so I will ride that. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the fact. So yeah, Ratatouille is not going to be the first trackless system there. So
yeah, it seems like they're going to use that for a couple different things. So, anything else you guys want to talk about before we go today? We had posted, Damon, you had posted a thing about Vampirina. Is that how you say it? I don't know what that show is.
You will. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what it is. First of all, it was a pretty famous book for a while.
Well, I don't read, so that's...
Well, it's a kid's book, so...
Yeah, you have a young child. You'll know.
Yeah, so is that just in the park permanently, or is that just for Halloween?
So she's already in the park now, and it was something that was coming for Halloween, but it will be permanent. It's a Disney Junior show, so I think as they continue to release new Disney Junior shows and retire Disney Junior shows, like Sophia the First is done. I mean, there was the last episode of that. So they may switch things out, is my guess, because a year from now there's no Sophia the First. I mean, who knows who she is anymore?
That makes sense, yeah. Is she going to be included in that new Disney Junior show that
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so she'll be in that too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I'm not familiar with that character, to be honest, so I don't know. Anything else you guys want to mention before we wrap this thing up today? Well, okay, great. Well, first of all, we want to thank everybody for checking out the what we now call the wait list. We sincerely appreciate all of the fans that wrote in with their name ideas, because you guys made our jobs crazy difficult, because there were so many good options that the three of us were fighting about what to call it for a while. So it was a little tough, but we appreciated all of the different names. We will have another wait list in the weeks in between again, so stay tuned for that. And then Damon, do you want to wrap us up today?
I can do that. So email address is welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. As always, we're looking for questions from our listeners, as well as, hopefully spreading the word and getting some non-listeners to ask you questions that you may want to ask us then. So, again, spread the word as much as you can. On social media, we are on Facebook at Welcome Home Podcast. That is probably the best way to get in touch with us. The other two, we don't really even use, so I don't even need to mention them. Again, we love reviews. That's the best thing for us. So if you can review us on iTunes, that's great, and any of the other services that you do use. And again, I was super excited about the wait list as well. I think that's been a fun part of it. So keep us informed if it's something you like to do and listen to. And again, I think we should have some people on the wait list. I think we're even going to start this one, hopefully, with Ziggy, right?
Yeah,
so
I think Ziggy's going to stick around and do some waitlisting with us.
Stay tuned for the next waitlist, which will be a week after this episode.
That's correct. So, of course, don't forget to subscribe, can't speak, to Welcome Home Podcast, so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, any place you can find podcasts. We are there. And, of course, a reminder to our listeners, as always, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, any and all opinions we express on this show are our own. So please consult a DVC representative, a cast member for more information. Damon, do you want to promote anything?
I always like to promote things. So as Tom said, you can find some Disney news and all that fun stuff over at BSC Kids. We are going to have some more interviews coming up as well. And as my friends would love me to promote their new Instagram, male teenage model page at Cullen Gabriel Fashion. So go like them as well.
And Trevor, thanks, Damon. And Trevor, I think you had something to promote this week, didn't you?
Yes, I do, actually. So we're coming up this time of year. I'm always involved in a charity called Extra Life. Point of it is we do a 24-hour video game marathon to raise money for Children's Miracle Network. So that's children's hospitals around the world. So game day is November 3rd. I will be posting my donation page to the podcast page, and you guys can watch me and my brother and my son play games and turn into zombies as time goes on. And I will be lining up some Disney games in there as well, so that for anyone that's a Disney fan, I'm going to have a few things queued up there that will be interesting. But that's going to be coming up here November 3rd.
Great. Yeah, I would definitely encourage anybody who's wanting to donate to that cause. It's because it's a good one. We really appreciate, Ziggy, you being on the show today. Please plug all your websites and your social media for us before we let you go.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me on too, guys. I really enjoyed it as usual. If you want to find out more about what I'm doing, you can go to my website. It's ZiggyKnowsDisney.com. Also, my social media, I'm on Twitter at DisneyZiggy.com. And then Facebook and Instagram, same thing. Ziggy Knows Disney. It's real simple. I do a lot of all the news and rumors on all the attractions and stuff like that coming to Disney World. Plus, I do a lot of reviews, a lot of food reviews and stuff. I love to eat, so if you want to find out more about the food, you can check me out there. And as well as just general tips and stuff like that for having a good time. at Walt Disney World. So yeah, just thanks for having me on, guys.
Big thank you to Ziggy. I appreciate you coming on and talking about food and wine today. Of course, thank you to DVC Resale Market for sponsoring this episode. We really appreciate them. Make sure to check them out at dvcresalemarket.com. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion and, of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awald, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.